an ancient cave, steep drops on most its sides. A cracking fort sits pretty, surrounded by vistas to be eyed. It's changed hands a few times, left many a lord grinning. Plenty left in tears as well, that lovely Castell Carreg penning. It's changed hands a few times.
Close on, welcome to Tales for Wales, the foundation blocks of a good time, the pod that builds a siege mentality against the nerds and gatekeepers of history, and the hot oil of defence poured over the enemy that is life itself, unrelenting life. And as ever, you're joined by me, Lord Frankleton on high, and my trusty squire, Jackie.
Jackie.
Hey, Jackie.
I like how in our good night, sick reference to the Jackie Chan Adventures, by the way, yeah. An oft forgotten piece of 90s
I really like it.
cartoon.
That and Super Duper Sumos.
Super Duper Sumos, great, yeah. I don't know how culturally sensitive they are these days if you put them on,
no.
but at the time they were very good. I loved how
back when having a laugh
Jackie
was
Chan...
legal.
Yeah, before they banned comedy.
They banned comedy, actually.
Bloody the woke mind virus infected everyone. I liked in Jackie Chan Adventures the uncle would go "Ay-ya!" all the time.
Yeah, I used to say that a lot to my friend Geth. We'd be doing something, you go "Ay-ya!" Oh. You might have heard a rattle in there.
Guy? Go on.
What, in Jackie Chan?
Yeah, big fat guy. He was like a kind of, I don't know if he was a sumo guy. He was a classic bad guy turned friend of the Jackie Chan family.
Yeah, he was absolutely
really
unit, wasn't he?
Oh, is it like Del Toro or something?
There was a Del Toro who wore a mask. There was one who wore a mask. I don't remember. I just googled it. There's one Del Toro who wore like a Mexican fighting mask, and then it had a giant unit who was like a chef, or like, he's like a big.
Yeah, he was Duke from fucking Tracy Beaker.
Yeah, he was absolutely Duke.
Same, cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, and he used to catch talismans. I fucking loved like cartoons.
I used to really want the talismans when I was a kid. Yeah. I remember they those magazines that like hook you in and make your parents pay like £5 to go, and every week you get like an extra bit. Yeah. There was like a Jackie Chan Adventures one, and you got a new talisman every week. Oh, and the first one you had like a little case.
The Patreon money for buying them.
Get me them now. No price is too high for that. What was your little trick, your little noise you were just trying to apologise for?
Oh, yeah, because we're doing a lunchtime record, and you might have heard like the sound of ice. It's not rum, sadly. It's just a Diet Coke on its own. Or
very
Pepsi
sad.
Max. Yeah.
I'm sat right next to my beer fridge, and it's absolutely packed to the rafters, full of ice cold lagers. I've just had a bit where I hadn't gotten through my last week's stash, and I've had a new stash come through, so it's absolutely packed, and it's like I can smell it. It's like like on cat. Yeah, they're weekly they're not rations, trust me. They're more than any normal person should be consuming. But they're enticing me, like, on cartoons where the smell from the food grabs them by the nostrils, like and you go, I'm like floating towards it, like Bugs Bunny. But alas, it's bloody lunchtime on a school day, on a work day, so the stupid laws of this country don't allow you to have fun anymore, do they? So.
I know. Although tomorrow I'm off up to London, and I'm going up on a Friday, so no one else will be in the office, just me and my three mates.
Londinium.
Yeah, we're off to Londinium, and then we're going to go, we'll be in the put by 3 because no one else works in the office on Friday.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No man's if the Invisible Man comes to dinner. I love it. Just out of sight, out of mind.
We're going to the local cafe by us is like our favourite place on earth, and they now know my order. Even though I'm not there like every week, I'm there like twice a month. He'll just say to me, the usual, and I'm like, oh, Daddy.
It's always great when you become one of them. Yeah. I like to think as well that it's not because of the regularity, that it's just because you make such a massive show of when you turn up. Like I think of like trumpet and everything.
I've arrived.
Lord Frankleton has arrived. The usual, please.
Macwood, my noble table, please. We know all their names as well. And when it was quite sad, when their nan passed away, we got them a card, which I did think was a bit mad, but
insane.
We've ingratiated ourselves massively, and it's just called the Corner Calf. That's the name
I
of
like
it.
to think as well that they are like if they're thinking, "God, these guys are way too familiar. Like, I just want to grieve in peace," and they're coming in, going, "Same as usual, please." By the way, here's a card. Sorry about your nan.
I am buzzing for that, but I'm a little bit tired. I got an ulcer on the side of my mouth, so I'm a bit like sounding a bit like I'm chewing my
Sapping
face off.
your strength.
Yeah,
it's all right. You'll be back to full strength by tomorrow, mate. I'm sure that just the call of the booze sesh will.
Have you got any
right
booze on the weekend planned?
I'm going to have a few tomorrow. Nothing particular going on, but it's been a long old bloody week. Yeah. And then what am I doing on Saturday? I can't remember. Oh, we're going out with some of Amy's friends on Saturday.
So
rubbish. So I'm just going to get drunk, make a fucking fool of myself, make sure they don't want to do it again then. So that's my plan.
Yeah.
You want to go out too? Well, this is what you're going to have to deal with if you want to go out.
Will it just be you and the girls, or will there be partners there?
No, so it's Amy's mate, and then her husband, boyfriend, I think. I don't know, either way. Yeah, so there'll be more other male company there, but can they keep the pace? That's always the question. That's always
they never do.
Sad.
Every time I can meet
Emma's
they never
friends,
bloody do. They're always like, I'll have one pint when I've had like 3. It's like, come on, lads, we got a time limit here.
I don't actually drink that much, you know.
Well,
you're going to have to pick up the pace, mate. Otherwise, you're going to make me look a fool. Do you want to make me look a fool?
Do you want me to?
I think we're going bottomless brunch, actually.
Of course you are.
So, like,
where else?
No shock.
What? You rubbing my eyes?
That don't sound like Jack. But I don't know which one we're going to. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, so like, you won't have an excuse. It's like if he goes, I'm not a really big drinker. Well, why have you come here then? Why have you paid the price of admission? You've wasted 30 quid then, haven't you? You need to at least get 30 quid's worth of drinks.
You have the same repartee with the owners of Bottomless Brunch as I do as the cafe guy. Like,
you're for Bottomless Brunch again, are we, sir?
My normal order, lots of booze, please.
It's like when you're a regular at a pub and they've got your glass behind the bar, you know, they dust off my champagne flute and go, miss your newbies.
I didn't know about that glass behind the bar thing, but someone told me the other day that their dad has a gin glass behind the bar, so when they come in, that's where he has his gin in it. I never even heard of that.
My granddad had his own one down the local golf club.
Quite cool.
He used to just like put his pension behind that fucking that bar. So I think maybe if you start investing in a local bar enough, they'll say, look, we'll clear a place on the shelf behind the bar for you.
Should we do, because it's a lunchtime one, should we crack on, but should we quickly do a Patreon shout out to some?
Yes. Before we do that, I was going to say, we'll do a Patreon shout out, but just to correct a grievous mistake we did on a previous one, an apology to Ashley Levi. We were riffing, like you wouldn't believe, as we normally
Classic.
do.
As I want, guilty.
So what? Shoot me. But Ashley got in touch with us through Patreon. We have committed the cardinal sin of misgendering her.
Oh.
Ashley is in a woman's name, Ashley, not a man's name. But because we're misogynistic
pigs,
exactly, bloody dirty little pig man, we just assumed it was a bloke. But she took it in good stride, and she's messaged saying she was thoroughly entertained. She was hungover when she was listening to it, and she was laughing along because we if you recall, our riffing on what the nickname we should give her, because it was Levi.
Was it like Jizz Jeans or something like that?
No, we were like jeans, and then we were like double denim, and then we started calling
double
it double
D's.
D. Double D.
Well, hang on.
And she said that was actually her nickname in school.
Well, hello, Ashley.
I know, yeah. I didn't want to go. I just said we were misogynistic pigs. I didn't want to go down the lewd and crude avenue.
If Ashley's on the beers or on the booze, Lashley, because she's on the absolute lash.
There we go. So, Lashley.
Lashley. It does sound like Loxley, though.
Lashley. We also hit the mark on another thing we talked about on that episode, which was Soggy Biscuit, and she said she actually knew about Soggy Biscuit, just about being American, because actually I can't remember if she said she was American. Maybe I'm making that up, sorry. But anyway, she knew a boy who played rugby for Swansea, and he was the first person to ever talk to her about Soggy Biscuit. So That fits with exactly what we were saying back then. Go listen to that episode if you haven't. Listen to the Soggy Biscuit episode. It's a good one. It's worth a listen.
I don't remember that episode. It's a bit of a... Oh, well, I'm sure.
Oh, maybe you need to go really listen to it.
I'll go back and listen then. Fine. I was just trying to go into the spreadsheet to see who we're naming next, and I've absolutely smashed something up. I've copied and pasted something, so I think I've ruined it. But let's go move on.
The structure of the pod's gone. Well, I've got him up here if you want to do it, or we can just edit it out.
No, sorry. Edit out, says Jack, who'll never edit out anything I've asked.
One out of 100. Getting bad.
I'm going to hold that till I die.
But yeah, next on our list of shout-outs is a guy named Richie Williams. I'm assuming a guy. I don't want to fall into the same trap as we have before. Yes. Richie sounds... I'm pretty confident that's a bloke's name, but I neither here nor there. Who knows? Don't come for us. Yeah. I've known people be thrown out of office for such misgendering deeds, so don't come for us.
Well, Richie
wrong.
Williams,
what can we say?
Dickie Bill.
Richie Rich.
We got to have the old Dickie Bill. Yeah.
Dickie Bill. That's a nice one.
Dickie Bills. He's got to be a guy. He's got to be a guy with a name like Dickie B.
Dickie Bills, owner of the Bills restaurant chain that's local to
Very
us.
Good.
Very niche.
Dickie Will I Am. We got him a song.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dickie. I think Dickie's such a fun nickname to give someone called Richard because it's so far away from their name. Hello, Richard. I'm going to call you Dick from now on.
Dick,
Cool.
Why is the original? I'd love to know. Is it because it's Richard, isn't it? Richard and Dick.
Richard. Why? It's a short for the short word. The short name for Richard is
Richard
Dick.
Rick.
Yeah.
Richard Rick Dick. Is that a genesis?
But then they also,
I'm just saying things.
They also say Bill is short for Williams. They haven't got a clue if they. So we'll just stick to our Dickie Bills.
Dickie Bills, it is. That's your name now, mate.
And just in case it's first time listener or you don't know much about the Patreon, we've got it into 3 tiers. So the first tier, you just pay £1 a month and you support the pod because you're very kind and just giving us a little help to keep the lights on above. Tier 2, you pay £5 and you get 2 bonus episodes a month, and those episodes vary from being something about Welsh history that we might not talk about on the main feed, or they'll be stupid and we'll remake Harry Potter but make it Welsh, or remake Lord of the Rings but give it Welsh characters. And then tier 3 is our top tier, where you get the same as the other 2 tiers. So you get to support the pod. You get 2 bonus episodes. You get, after 1 month, personalised album artwork, which Jack makes. Then 3 months, you get a dedicated episode to your hometown, where we research where you're from and all that malarkey. And you give us some information, which we'll look into. Then after 6 months, we turn you into a Welsh legend and make up a Mabinogion story based upon you when you give us some facts. 12 months, we said you get a t-shirt, so one of our merchandise, you get one of the t-shirts of your choice. And then 15 months, you get a coat of arms, so we'll make you a Welsh coat of arms. And then I think there's something at 18 months, but I can't quite remember what that was.
Yes, and I can't remember what we said for that either.
No, so we'll come back to you on that one.
Come back to you on that. But we got you up to 15 months. We got you sorted. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
so that's fine. Now, enough plugging. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode.
The meat and potatoes, yes, let's do. So, as the episode title suggests, this one is about Castell Carreg Cennen, or Carreg Cennen Castle. I'm going to mess that up at some point because it's too much alliteration for me. Yeah. But anyway, this is a castle that's close to a village called Trap, southeast of Llandeilar in Carmarthenshire. The castle's name literally means Cennen Rock Castle, Cennen referring to the river it overlooks. It's a particularly well-placed castle because it was built on top of a 300-foot limestone cliff, not only offering a 360-degree view of the surroundings, but also providing natural defences in the form of sheer cliffs on 3 out of 4 of its sides. So any attacking enemies, they'd only have one direction to attack the castle from, this time, in this case, being the west. The western approach was also uphill and had an outer wall and gatehouse on its approach. So if you were an advancing army, you'd also be forced into a bottleneck on top of all these other things. And if you're a fan of medieval warfare or warfare in general, I suppose, 2 things you don't really want to do when you're attacking a castle or a stronghold of any kind is to be going uphill, and you don't want to be bottlenecked. Those things are a big no-nos when you're an attacking army. So it's a very
nothing.
Exactly, in the hot gates. Very defensible castle. The castle also stands above a hidden cave, which is something I didn't know about at all until I was doing these notes. It stands above a hidden cave that includes a natural spring. So this was excellent for storage, keeping VIPs hidden, and keeping a healthy stock of drinking water during not only droughts, but also when you're being sieged. So yeah, if you can't get any food or water in, you got fucking plenty underground. Apparently it goes quite deep into the mountain as well. There was some sources that said it also had like they had dug like secret passages into the cave so that you could like VIPs could escape. I couldn't find a lot to corroborate that, but it's a nice little idea and it's very like fantasy-esque that. Anyway, in terms of its history, the aforementioned cave had evidence of human activity found in it dating to prehistoric times. There's also evidence to suggest the Celts had a hill fort there during the Iron Age, which would make sense. In the same way building a castle there makes sense. You know, you tend to find castles tend to be on top of where fortifications have been built for thousands of years because it makes sense to do it either, you know, next to a river or near an abundance of food or whatever. Fast forward into the Middle Ages, and the earliest castle built where the current one stands was set up by none other than Rhys ap Gruffydd, aka Lord Rhys, who ruled the Kingdom of Deheubarth in the latter half of the 1100s. We've got a great couple of episodes on him, so if you haven't listened to them already, go back and check them out. Frank does a very good job of telling us his tall tales. The castle remained part of the Deheubarth dynasty for about 50 years, until, according to Brut y Tywysogion, an old Welsh chronicle, it was used as a weapon in a family spat. Mm-hmm. Lord Rhys's great-grandson was due to inherit the castle in 1248, but after a little falling out with his mother, Matilda de Bros, she decided to give it to the Normans out of spite. Seems like quite an extreme thing to do.
Yeah.
I've had to phone that right. Well, this massive castle that's part of your inheritance, I'm just going to give it to the fucking enemy of the people.
Norms.
The bloody naughty Normans. But Lord Rhys's grandson, also called Rhys, by the way, just to be confusing, but this time his name's Rhys Vychan. He was very unkeen to lose such a finely placed castle, and he actually captured it before the Normans could take possession.
He was also really involved. Rhys Vychan's like a huge figure who helps Llywelyn Fawr. So I'm doing an episode on Llywelyn Fawr soon, and Rhys Vychan is a bit of a fucking dog. He's got that, as in like dog. He's got that dog in him, like Lord Rhys. He's a fucking unit who just fights
Scrappy
everyone.
Boy. Yeah. He's a good one. I didn't want to go in too much on the people that pop up in here, the things that happened outside of Carreg. So we'll probably come back to Rhys Vychan in another epi, but. So after Rhys Vychan took control of the castle, the following 30 years saw Castell Carreg Cennen Castle switch hands between Rhys Vychan and his uncle Meredydd quite a bit. This was because they're both constantly fighting for control of Deheubarth, so they're flipping hands quite a lot depending on who's like sort of winning or losing that sort of fight. It wasn't until 1277 when the castle stopped being ping-pong back and forth when Edward I of England, aka Longshanks, began his conquest of Wales. Some bloody turncoat locals sided with the English king against our lord and saviour, Llywelyn ap Gruffydd, aka Llywelyn ein Llywelyn, aka Llywelyn the Last, and they turned the castle over to Longshanks early on in his conquest. Documents say that the English king made some repairs and improvements to the castle before his forces were kicked out about 5 years later in 1282, when a second phase of fighting in the Welsh Rebellion started. This time, the locals sided with their countrymen and seized the castle for the Welsh. Long-time listeners will have recognised the year I just mentioned, 1282, for the sad reason that that's the year Llywelyn was killed. The Welsh Rebellion was finally put to the sword in early 1283 after the death of Llywelyn's brother Dafydd, and the castle was once again back under English control shortly after. Not long after the Welsh were subdued, Longshanks granted the castle to a guy named John Gifford, who was the commander of the English forces at Arwyn Bridge, which was where the Welsh were defeated and Llywelyn was slain. That was like sort of the last big fight of the Welsh Rebellion, especially with Llywelyn Llywelyn. Gifford remodelled the castle and had the work carried out under his son John. These works included creating an inner ward, a gatehouse, a barbican, and an outer ward. A barbican, by the way, I didn't know what this was, so I looked it up, is a fortified gateway. It usually, if you've seen many castles, I guess, it's like a bit that like juts out from the front of the castle. It's basically just like a fortified entrance, essentially. Yeah. All these improvements created more or less the castle we see today. The southern curtain wall actually is mainly still built of the original stone the Welsh used in construction. when it was first built. So that's like a nice little touch to the past. That would be a wall me and you would want to touch if we were going to go see Carreg Castle. I want to touch the Welsh stones.
Yeah.
Do you think they get many people in there? Like the tour guides are like, I want to see the Welsh stones. Where's the southern curtain wall? Oh, these English stones for the 1200s are all well and good, but I want to touch the Welsh stones on the southern curtain wall.
One thing in mind, to see the bloody Welsh stones. I won't get until I see them.
I'll admit it's a mighty fine barbican you have there. It juts out just as you'd expect, but I want to see the Welsh stones. Anyway, so Rhys ap Meredydd, son of the Uncle Meredydd I mentioned earlier, and another great-grandson of Lord Rhys, he briefly took the castle in 1287 during a very short-lived rebellion against the English. We might go into that more properly in another episode. I'm not sure if he's got quite enough meat on his bones, the story, to actually flesh out a full epi, but we might touch on it, who knows. But basically, the Cliff Notes version is this Rhys, the other great-grandson of Rhys, as well as several other lords of Deheubarth. They fought on the side of the English during Llywelyn the Last rebellion. He did this in hopes Longshanks would endorse his claims and grant him the lands of let me try and say that properly, of Maen o'r Deilo, Mallain, Caio, Mabelview, and Dynevor Castle. These were all lands and plus the castle that were once held by his great-grandfather, Lord Rhys. So he felt that he was owed these lands and Dynevor Castle. So hoped that when he joined up with Edward against his own countrymen, that he would endorse these claims and sort of grant them to him at the end of the rebellion. Being a traitorous little pig did net him Drysloin Castle, but not his prized Dynevor Castle. Longshanks also forced Rhys to relinquish his claims to these lands and Dynevor Castle in October 1283. Shock horror, the English didn't have his best interests at heart. Anyway, only when it started affecting him, this Rhys decided to lead a little rebellion, as I mentioned, and Castell Carreg Cennen was one of the castles Rhys ap Meredydd took during it. This was taken back by the English almost immediately, though. And there's more to that rebellion, but that's just the Cliff Notes version. So after that, it stayed in the hands of the Giffords, who I mentioned earlier, until 1322, before switching ownership to the Duchy of Lancaster. Several repairs were documented within the castle between 1369 and 1370. The castle then passed to the Crown Estate in 1399 when Henry IV's ascension to the throne. In 1403, during Owain Glyndwr's rebellion, he and 800 men attacked Carreg Cennen Castle, and although they severely damaged the walls, they failed to take the fortress after several months of siege. A little bit of pop trivia about this siege as well. The siege was successfully defended by a guy named John Scudamore, an English knight who actually ended up marrying one of Glyndwr's daughters only a few years later, which I'd say is a pretty alpha move.
They do that quite a bit, don't they?
They do, yeah. I think he must have been like, well, you're pretty good. Yeah, I think Hotspur came over, didn't he? Yeah, I think it must come down to like a thing of Glyndwr obviously saw how well this guy must have defended
and it helps
siege.
Allegiances, doesn't it? It's like, well, now you're part of the family. So like
exactly, so get him on side, and then just strengthen your kind of forces a bit, I guess. But yeah, pretty alpha move, I'd say. Like beat you in a war of attrition. Also, gives me your daughter, please. I'm sure it didn't go down like that, but still. So large scale repair works were needed to get the castle back up to scratch after Glyndwr had like smashed up the walls and everything. So these repairs were carried out between 1414 and 1421. Skipping ahead a bit to the War of the Roses, which is that's a period we don't really cover.
Yeah, I don't like it. War of the Roses it's like an English civil war, but happens a lot in Wales.
Yeah, and it also takes the romance about it away. Like it's not swords and shields and bows anymore. It's like that's when you starts getting muskets and shit,
like
isn't it? And
flintlocks and like pills.
It's not as and they look like absolute dorks.
They do look dork heavy, don't they? They're so
real dork heavy.
They have like Shakespeare style like ruffles around their neck and stuff, and they just
they just look kind of. They lost all the coolness, didn't they? Cool factor, but maybe we'll touch on stuff. I know I think we covered the Battle of the Fishguard, didn't we? But St. Fagans, sorry, was that? No, that was like Cavaliers and Roundheads, wasn't it? That was Royalists and parliamentarians. That wasn't War of the Roses. Maybe we'll cover something in the future.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Who were the War of the Roses then? That is also an English civil war, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the Yorks
Lancashire
and the Lancashires, isn't it?
York,
Lancashires and Yorks. Yeah, that's the one. So during this time, the War of the Roses, which is 1455 to 1487, just for info, the castle came under Lancastrian control under the command of a guy named Griffith ap Nicholas. It's during this time a gun port was added to the castle on the northwest tower to accommodate the use of muskets. The Yorkist victory at the Battle of Mortimer's Cross in 1461 forced Griffith to surrender the castle. The Yorkists then slighted the castle with a team of 500 men. I didn't really know what the term slighted meant.
It's when you break castles. It's when you damage it so it can't be used afterwards.
Yeah. I looked it up, and it's basically you do enough damage that it's kind of useless as like a defensive
so many
position
Welsh
for the enemy.
castles were slighted during the English Civil War, and that's why they're not in good condition now. Because had the English Civil War not happened, all of our castles would still be standing like as high as they were.
Much better.
Yeah. Those bastards couldn't
another
even
thing.
leave us.
Another thing to fucking kick off about. Stick it on the list.
Yeah.
From there, the castle passed to the Vaughan and Cowder families until the second Earl of Cowder did extensive renovation works on the castle in 1932, which was skipping quite far ahead now. It was passed to the Morris family of Castell Farm in the 1960s when a mistake on the wording of the deeds included the castle as part of a farm they were purchasing. So that's fucking nice. Well, is that a lucky thing, or is that like a bad bit of luck? You now have to maintain a castle just because you want to buy a farm.
Yeah.
But the family still owns the castle today, actually. Cool. But it's now maintained. But it's also maintained. It's under maintenance by Cadw, which for those who don't know is like Welsh Government's historic environment service that cares for like Wales's historic places. But yeah, still in the family, which is quite cool. Mind you, why would you give it up? If I had a castle in the family, you'd have to fucking claw that from like cold dead grass.
I'd down. I'd slight the fuck out of it.
Yeah. Don't you try and slight my fucking castle. But yeah, that's your lot on Castell Cennen.
We should definitely go there.
I'd say. I was just going to say I'd love to go up there because if you look at some pictures, if our listeners get a chance to Google it, it's a real cool looking castle, like proper fantasy looking because it's on the cliff edge and everything.
Yeah, it does look
sick.
It's
it's one of those ones I always think, God, that must have been a ball ache to build.
Yeah.
But especially back in medieval times. But it looks cool as shit. So yeah, have a Google of the images or go and visit if you can, because I think we'll probably go up there at some point.
I'd like to go up there because I did the other one up there. I always forget the other one in Llandelo. There's two castles and they're quite close to each other. Dynevor. So I visited the other castle there. I visited Dynevor Castle, which is not far away. It's both in Llandelo, I think, and that's really cool. And so I'd like
another
to take
prominent Deheubarthian castle there, mate.
Yeah. So I reckon we should try and do a road trip there. We got one road trip coming up, but that's Chepstow. So next time we'll try
Chepstow. Yeah, that'd be cool to go around Lord Reese's old stomping ground.
Yeah. Well, diolch yn fawr for telling us your silly little stories about Wales, mate. Really appreciate that.
Silly little castles and a silly little country. Yeah.
Grow up. Right, well, diolch yn gwrando, everyone. Thanks for listening. And we'll catch you soon. Bye.
See you soon.
It's changed hands a few times, left many a lord grinning. Plenty left in tears as well, that lovely Castell Carreg Cennen. It's changed hands a few times, left many a lord grinning. Plenty left in tears as well, that lovely Castell Carreg Cennen. Da 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 da. Lovely Castell Carreg Cennen.